You don't understand what Canada is packing. They're not just maple syrup, the best hockey players in the world, and the reason why we have a Geneva Convention. They are an economic and military powerhouse. They went from being a moderate oil producer to one of the largest in the world. They're ranked number 4, so they have most of the OPEC countries completely beat. They're the 5th largest producer of natural gas. 68% of their electricity comes from renewables. With Quebec leading the charge on this, they have over 94% of all their electricity made by hydropower. But you need to understand how Canada's oil was the game changer for the West. Look at how much oil America gets from Saudi Arabia, 200,000 barrels a day. But we get 3.8 million every day from Canada alone. The US produces 13 million barrels a day, but we import 6 to 7 million. And the fact that 63% of our oil imports come from Canada means that OPEC has no leverage to do what was done in 1973. And like my previous post about Norway, Canada also has one of the largest reserves now of rare earth elements. They have about 15% of the world's reserve supply. They also have among the largest gold, silver, and platinum deposits in the planet, namely the KSM and the New Prosperity Mine. But the resource that nobody is talking about, which they absolutely should, is fresh water. And Canada alone has 7% of the world's global supply. And as every year passes, the water supply consistently shrinks with droughts and pollution. Meaning in time, water is going to be more precious than oil. But the craziest fact you've probably never heard is that Canada owns 30 to 40 times more US farmland than China. China has just under 300,000 acres, while Canada has 12.8 million. They have 31% of all foreign-held US land. And why do a bunch of other countries hold on to US land? 1, because we have great soil, but 2, US real estate is considered to be the safest investment. And the US, through IBM, has started heavily investing in the Canadian semiconductor industry. The more advanced your semiconductors, the more advanced your computers are, the more advanced your tech is. And that's essential if you want to be the world's largest and most powerful military. The US is trying to offshore their semiconductor needs from the East and bring it back home. Or at least close to home. I know Canada is in NATO, but they are not paying the 2% required. I think they're paying like 1.3% of the funding. But right there with the UK, they are among the most engaged, agile, and deployable NATO members. They're ranked the 27th most powerful military, but their southern neighbor is ranked number 1. And the Canadian military is also one of the most seasoned on Earth since they have such a strong tie to US operations. Unfortunately, there have been instances where Canada has said, sorry, but we're not going to help you, like the Vietnam War, the Grenada invasion, and especially what happened in Iraq. That being said, I'm well aware that Canada is going through a major rough patch right now. Over the past few years, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau only has a 28% approval rating. Inflation, jobs, debt, a whole bunch of other issues are seriously plaguing the country. But some kind of corner is being turned because finally this year, home prices started to fall. It's a good thing for some people because if you want to buy a house, now it's a little bit more approachable. If you recently purchased a home, your investment has already dropped in value. And we also don't know, is this going to be a very long correction where real estate prices start to crash? Their unemployment rate is at 6.1%. Industrial production growth is barely above 0. And while the US went crazy printing money during COVID, Canada went nuts with selling debt. Inflation is cooled to about 2.7%, and even though the Canadian government put in a rate cut, the interest rates are still extremely high at 4.75%. But we are starting to see some light shine through the cracks of the Canadian economy. Looks like their auto industry is starting to finally pick up. Honda just invested $15 billion into their new EV factories in the country. Again, it's just starting. I mean, their GDP only rose, 0.4% the first quarter? But I'm cautiously optimistic because their consumer confidence just hit a 2-year high. And then there's the fact that if things do start to get very bad in Canada, America will help. Let's see what happens. My name is the Geo Husar, and the first country to get 20 comments is the one I'll talk about next. Thanks for watching.